TMZ is reporting that due to his celebrity status and the allegations, this could bring unwanted attention from other inmates and be a threat to Diddy.
What we've been told by a former warden is he's a target.
I gotta admit, it's been kind of crazy watching this Diddy situation play out. Not because I'm surprised by any of this, but because it's weird watching the mainstream media spin a narrative in real time that will make people more receptive to their lies once they try to take Diddy out. Because you better believe they are going to try to take Diddy out. They were just on the news earlier talking about how Diddy is a target in jail. How the other inmates are targeting him because taking him out and taking him down will give them some type of cool points or brownie points. So they're already spinning the narrative. They're already putting the thought in people's mind that, hey, Diddy's a target in prison and all of these people are after him. And they're also already putting the thought in people's mind that Diddy is depressed and that Diddy isn't mentally stable right now and he might even take himself out. So they're already spinning a narrative to where they have, an excuse for if something goes down. And it looks like something's going to go down. The only question is, are they going to say Diddy did it to himself? Or are they going to blame it on another inmate that they pay off that doesn't have a future ahead of them anyway? Maybe drop a bunch of money on their books, on their commissary, so they can eat a bunch of honey buns, and they'll go and take Diddy out for them. I don't know. But like I said, they're already planting the seeds. That's what the media is doing right now. I know how they operate. They are planting the seeds for when the time comes that the news breaks that, oh, Diddy, somehow something happened to him behind bars. And I'm looking around at everyone cheering on his arrest, and personally, I'm unmoved by it. Don't get me wrong. I do think he's guilty. I don't feel any sympathy for him. I'm just looking at people and they think that Diddy, because he's rich and powerful, they think that he's at the top of the food chain. But he's not. He's at the bottom. As one of you all put it in my comment section in my last video about this topic, Diddy is not the head of the snake. Yes, Diddy is rich and powerful. Yes, Diddy had plenty of people who were under him, plenty of famous people who weren't as rich and powerful as him that he brought into these parties and stuff like that. But also, Diddy was a mule. Diddy was supplying people who were far more rich and powerful than him with women and men and other things and all this freaky stuff. We can't even get into the details here on YouTube. So when I'm looking at what's happening to Diddy, it's like, okay, cool. But what about the people who he was supplying? What about the people who were more rich and powerful that looked at Diddy like a middleman? What about them? Will we ever get their names? Will anyone else ever be brought in? Will anyone else be brought to justice? Because in the grand scheme of things, for people like us, right? For people like us, we look at Diddy and it's hard to think that there are people more rich and powerful than him in the world, more influential than him in the world doing things behind the scenes, but there are. So it's easy for us to look at people like Diddy as big fish. But in the grand scheme of things, Diddy is a minnow swimming amongst sharks. And the sharks are still going unscathed as people like Diddy take the fall for their crimes. So yeah, maybe Diddy should be behind bars. I'm not going to argue with anyone about that. But I look at Diddy and what's happening to Diddy, I look at him as a sacrificial lamb. Someone who is taking the fall as the people who are really more responsible for problems like this are laughing in the background, going untouched as they always will be. But because Diddy was connected to all of these powerful people and all of these rich and famous people, some of which we know of, some are public figures, but some are people who you've never even heard of. But because of these connections, there's a lot of people out there with a lot of money and a lot of power and a lot of influence that, it would be in their best interest if Diddy doesn't make it to trial. it would be in their best interest if more details about what was happening with Diddy don't come out. And law enforcement is claiming that they have videotapes and stuff like that as well. But no one else is being really mentioned and no one else is really being arrested. So right now, it just looks like Diddy is taking the fall for all of this. And like I said before, it will be a miracle. It will be a freaking miracle if this man makes it to trial. And the only thing he has going for him right now is that he has a bunch of kids that the rich, powerful elites can hold over his head and threaten him with. But let's go ahead and roll this clip because this runs deep, folks. Diddy's connections run deep. So let's go ahead and roll this clip and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
So it seemed like the police were on Diddy's side. Is that the idea there, that he kind of had him doing his bidding?
Well, it was more than they were on his side. They were actually doing his dirty work. And there was a picture of P. Diddy on the wall in the station.
There was a picture of P. Diddy on the wall of a New York City police station.
Correct.
What does that tell you?
It tells me that people who have money and influence basically pretty much do what they want.
I know a lot of people with money and influence, they don't have their pictures hanging up in NYPD precincts. That's something special. We got to look into that. You think this guy's going to sing? You think he's suicidal?
I don't know. I mean, if you look at the kind of lifestyle he had and all of a sudden he's looking at prison for the rest of his life, who knows?
So they got freaking pictures of Diddy hanging up at the police station, right? And you see, this is another reason why I was saying, I'm kind of unfazed by all of this because it's never been a secret what Diddy has been doing. And, sometimes it's hard for people to believe what's really happening in this world. It's like they've learned nothing from what we saw with Schmepstein. We've seen them pull this off before. We've seen them knock someone off in jail very obviously, lie to everyone, and people just go about their lives. We've seen this exact same playbook, the exact same plays. I don't know if you all watch sports. I like football. We've seen this playbook already. We know what play they're about to call next, okay? And that play is the freaking get Diddler the hell out of here play. Omaha, Omaha. Peyton Manning type-ish. But for real, folks, there's layers to this. So some people are thinking, well, yeah, Diddy's attached to all of these rich and powerful people, but how can they touch him in jail? I get they have money, but how are they going to do this? How are they going to do that? Listen, when you got money, you can make things happen. But what did we just learn from this clip? Diddy's not just connected to rich, powerful billionaires. He's not just connected to your favorite singer and actress and actors. He's not just connected to former presidents. Diddy's also connected to law enforcement. Diddy also has connections in law enforcement. And if those connections in law enforcement have been helping him get away with his crimes, and if they've played any part in this, and if they've participated in some of these freak-offs, then now we know that law enforcement is also probably invested in getting Diddy the hell out of there. Not only is it in the best interest of these billionaires and powerful people who are attached to Diddy, it's in the best interest of law enforcement, okay? That's how crazy this is. It is in the best interest of law enforcement to silence Diddy. Because there has to be a lot of law enforcement officers, hires up as well, who were attached to this, who had knowledge of this, who helped cover this up. There's already accusations out there that Diddy was working with the feds at one point as well. So here we have, like I said, there's layers to this, right? There's levels to this. So not only do we have the rich, powerful billionaire elites who we don't even know the names of behind the scenes that probably want to take Diddy out. Not only do we have the rich and powerful people of Hollywood that want to take Diddy out, you got law enforcement that wants to take Diddy out. So my question is, how in the hell is Diddy going to make it to trial? And then you got the mainstream news. They're not pulling any punches or biting their tongue. They're all over the news telling you, hey, Diddy's going to off himself. Hey, other people in prison are going to take out Diddy. They want to take out Diddy. It looks like the odds are stacked up against him right now, if you ask me. And I don't want anyone pretending to be surprised if something happens to him. I don't want anyone to forget this conversation that we're having right now. If you wake up tomorrow, the next day, or the next week, and you see the headlines that Diddy is no longer with us because something happened in jail. Because, like I said, the narrative is already being spun. They've already planted the seeds. It's not hard to figure out where this story goes next. But for now, I want you all to go down to my comments below. Let me know what you think about this. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.